let me turn this on. It said there was an hour and 45 minutes of potential recording, so that gives an opportunity to get really quite pissed.
I think I'm already there, man.
I know, mate, honestly.
Shit.
That fucking stuff that you're drinking, like, no. Like, no.
Couple of them, I'll be gone, man.
Hold on. Let me do that, and then you're less, like, right in the middle of the picture. So obviously you're not very used. I mean, like, it's funny, because people have said, oh, like, I like your YouTube stuff, and I'm like, not actually a YouTuber.
Yeah.
I'm like, I work in pensions, like, and so it's like, yeah, I don't really have like any prowess, or like never did any like video editing, which is why everything I do is very like basic.
Yeah.
The only thing I've ever been interested, all I care about is airsoft stuff. That's literally it. Like, I've even like before my mum, I've like those people that message me that are like 13, that are like, how do I convince my mum to let me get an airsoft gun? Like, I've been there. Like, I know the struggle. Like, I struggled hard against my mum, like trying to allow me to get an airsoft gun, and eventually I just essentially went behind her back and just went to my dad and was like, you want to win some favoritism? Like, you can really do that by getting me this. But
that's what I do about misses, man. Just went behind her back. Just like, you know what? This is what I'm getting. This is what I'm getting.
This really makes me quite happy, and this is just what needs to happen, I'm afraid. I shouldn't be like. Actually, no. I'm sure that's not going to come over too loud on the video. I've got a fan pointing, so yeah, people will hear this constant like droning of noise. But while we wait for MrBeast burgers to turn up, and then we can potentially we can be reviewing MrBeast burgers in the UK. I didn't even know they were in the UK, but I think most people know who MrBeast is, so that's have you got your drink as well?
I finished it. You
finished it?
I finished it.
Okay, so we've got about 10 minutes to get something filmed. So I just want to say to anyone, well, probably everyone doesn't know, this is Ben. Ben is one of my friends that also is into MWSs. He has done an absolutely sick build, and we kind of became friends over him doing the build, because he saw what I'd done to my MWS, putting like a real buffer tube on it and a real rail on it and things like that, and talking about how it's really not that hard to do. And I actually had like the tools basically to do it, and you reached out to me and were like, any chance I could borrow that tool to do it to my like
and the rest is history.
And so yeah, go on, why don't you just quickly explain a little bit about this is such a cool build. Honestly, I love it.
So I basically wanted to have a BCM build as much as possible, real steel. So with Ollie helping, I rethreaded the upper receiver to put an Aero Precision buffer tube. Cool. But honestly, it's fantastic. It really is good. So Aero Precision Magpul, Aero Precision buffer tube, Aero Precision buffer, BCM MCMR 10 rail, Z parts 11.5, I believe it is.
Yeah, you see, well, 10s or 11s, like so. Mark 18.
I think it's 11.5 because the rail itself is 10 inches.
Yeah.
Magpul bad lever.
Obviously a legit one, because there's no point in getting any of.
Just get the real steel.
Just get the real steel.
There's no point getting the knockoffs. It's worth its weight in gold, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Best upgrade. One of the best upgrades.
100%. BCM Gunfighter, I can't remember, is it mod 0, mod 1?
I think it is just a mod 0, because you've got the extended. Basically, it just puts the meat of your finger right on the trigger.
It's so comfortable though, just the angle, everything about it is just really, really comfortable.
But you've gone for, so actually one of the things that I don't have, and I've been thinking about upgrading to, is the trigger that you've got.
Yeah. BJ Tactical Geisley. It is, honestly, it's adjustable as well, but it is just It's just such a, I can't really describe it. It's just a lovely.
It does give a
trigger, honestly.
really nice trigger pull. So obviously this gun isn't loaded at the moment, by the way. Like, I take it you've checked.
Yeah.
You checked the chamber.
Definitely.
Go on, let's do it.
It's all empty.
Yeah, all
Nothing
empty. Have a little look inside. No one's gonna get blinded. We're not really into that, obviously.
No.
Always be safe. but
it's just, honestly, it's just a fantastic trigger.
it did no. So it does feel different. Like I've really only got. I've got 2 stock like trigger boxes, and I've got 1 GMP trigger box, which is the gold adjustable one, which is awful. If you've got one, like the amount of effort that you have to go to just to make it work, the trigger reset on it is so bad and everything. But with this, like you've just got a stock trigger box, haven't you?
Stock trigger box.
And
yeah.
all you've done is drop in that trigger.
Yeah.
And the reset on it is like affirmative and crisp, and like the actual trigger pull as well. So there is, you can still kind of, if I can show this, you can still kind of, it's not just like a straight like one stage like that. It seems it fakes it, but you can like there is still that grittiness there, but you kind of bypass all of it. It feels like a nice one stage, and the reset on it, like I don't know if there's a speed that it just always wants to reset. So like yeah, it's really to be honest, it's really nice. The way I've always sorted it, like when I've got trouble with the trigger resetting or anything like that, has always been going in with like so Guns Modified do an adjustable rear sear, and basically that kind of sorts a lot of your like reset issues and problems. Like just dropping one of those in as a part is nice. But the fact that that's got the little G, the little Geisley G, it's got the right trigger curve on it, it's steel, and it also gives you a really nice trigger pull. Yeah.
And apparently, in terms of like dimensions, it's more like a real steel size.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
The original one, I think, is a little bit too small. The dimensions aren't quite right.
Bada Bing said about this, and he was like, the thing is, like, he said that it bothered him, and until I watched that video, I hadn't even noticed.
No.
I was so basic. I was like,
no.
It's nothing that I'd even like consciously like been like, hey, that doesn't look quite right. But some people are way more precise, and other people are like blunt force instruments. Yeah. I'm a bit more blunt force, to be honest.
And to be honest with you, it's one of the reasons why I went for it. Because I wanted to get as much real steel as I could on this. I wanted the trigger to look real steel. I wanted it to feel real steel. So it's one of the reasons why I went for it.
It does feel a lot nicer.
It does 100%, a lot better. A lot better.
What do you think? Okay, so the only thing that I've said about this gun that I feel could change like how it is putting a steel outer barrel. Yeah. And to be perfectly honest with you, I love this build.
Yeah.
It's very solid. There isn't any wobble. You did try it earlier, and you were like trying to force some wobble, and you've managed to create a tiny
bit,
the tiniest bit of play. And you get this like real ARs wobble. Real ARs probably wobble more than this.
Yeah.
But actually, really impressive. And so you've gone with an Olight as well at the front. So what? I don't know which one this is. An Odin.
It's the Olight Mini. The Odin Mini.
Odin Mini.
And to be honest with you, for the money, I think it's I think it's the best bang for the buck you can get.
So is that one of the ones that's got the internal battery?
Yeah.
And so you've got to like you USB charge it. Yeah.
It is. I think for the money, I think it's you could probably get better, but for the money, I think it's the best bang for the buck. It
How
really
much
is.
was it? Like,
I think it was about 130 quid.
Okay.
I think.
So you know that you can now get the LEPs, so the laser excited phosphorus, and this is the next thing that I'm going to be getting, I think. Just because for me, that's the fact that you've got that throw, and there is like one person that's left a comment on the Olight UK website, and it says something like, "I use this for Airsoft CQB, and it's amazing." It says something, and I was like, "That's the." As soon as I saw that you can like have like only like a few hundred lumen, but this super tight beam.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's proper concentrated in it. It's really concentrated.
It, like for CQB distances, it's like if your light is on them, you're going to hit them.
Yeah.
And I was like, that, for me, that sounds pretty good. And like whack that on a tri-shot, like attach one of those onto like this SAIGA or something like that, and it's like basically it's like if you're within the beam of death, then like that's it. Like
you ain't gonna see.
Yeah.
I've used this against friends and stuff like that in games, and I blinded them basically with it.
Yeah.
Honestly, and that's just the standard OLED Mini. Honestly, it's crazy. It is crazy.
I think they got a bad rep because it was something to do with like them catching fire. Or something like cheaper batteries. I haven't heard anything more recently about that, because obviously when you get that kind of negative feedback, you're gonna do something about it, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I've been using this for about a year now without any problems at all. Honestly, it's never failed me. It's rechargeable, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, it's quick. It's quick to release. The
CR123s are expensive. Like every so often you see them on eBay for like £1 each or something like. But that is rare. You know, you've really got to like keep looking out for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but
100%. And that's what's great about it. You can just put it on charge, use it for a game, bang it. I can't remember the exact amount of hours you can. Well, you know, for the time you can use it for. But it's
just more than a day's worth of it, like, or a weekend of airsoft.
Yeah,
like,
100%. Like, you could easily Milson this torch and it would work absolutely fine.
And that's the thing, because I ended up like years ago getting an absolute. Well, I tend to go for the Surefires because you find them secondhand.
Yeah.
You don't tend to find like a Cloud Defense secondhand, like in the UK anyway. But you will find maybe in America, and like they have a lot of different.
And that's the other thing with the OLED is it comes with the casing spell to put it onto the gun itself on the material, which I think in itself. Oh, burger.
That's food time.
That was pretty quick, to be fair.
That was pretty fast, actually. Okay, so while we chat, we can do an impromptu review of MrBeast burgers. I don't know if that's probably a burger.
Caramelised onion. I think that could be mine.
That's probably you. There's some fries, and there's some extra ketchups. There you go. 3 extra ketchups. That's kind of annoying. When they do, it's 2 burgers, 2 fries, 3 extra ketchups. Is that on purpose? I don't know. There is a chance. Oh, okay. In a box and in foil as well. Okay, to stop any like leakage or anything, I guess. All right, it's not that big, but.
Do you know what? I was just thinking that.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah. I'm pretty hungry, and we've had a couple of drinks, so.
To be fair, that's not a bad burger.
I'm not gonna lie, the flavour on that is actually really good.
That's pretty good.
It's a bit like Five Guys. A bit. Crinkle cut fries, man. It's like being back in the 90s.
In my opinion, the best fucking era ever.
I think 90s, I'm thinking MP5s. Like, M4s, like starting to like get into like M4 Riz setups and like all that cool stuff.
It's not quite pure about it, isn't it?
Yeah. Like
80s, 90s, you know what I mean? When you got like
people taping
Rambo and stuff like that.
Having like the best torch out there being like a mag light.
Yeah.
And you would get your mag light, your fucking like 6D cell mag light, like tape it to your gun, you know. And it's funny because people do that in airsoft. Like we've sort of still go back to it.
There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong. If it serves a purpose, it's not wrong, is it?
No, you know it works. Like
100%.
And that's it with like with my SAIGA. There's no rails on it. I'm like, well, I could just like I can literally tape a flashlight to it, and It's sort of legit still.
100%. It's not bad.
They're not even soggy, right? Problem with this GoPro is it just overheats all the time.
Yeah. Have you got a fan on it?
Yeah, yeah. A little mini fan from John Lewis. My mum got it for me, but yeah, works an absolute treat. Although GoPro's still shit.
That's actually a really good burger.
It's really tasty. I wish it was more the size of a Burger King.
Yeah.
You know what? I would have it again.
100%.
I would have it again.
If I wanted a burger that was like not massive, but it hit the spot, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I've had half a beer too much, and this is going to pull me back from the edge and make me slightly more sensible. And less hungover for tomorrow.
That last bit I had flipping out. 10% was a bit. That's Belgian beer territory, that is.
Yeah, danger.
Oh.
I used to think that's what I used to think American beer was all like 2-3%, like super weak. But now, like over there, they're the same. They're just like the UK. And
oh yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, some of the coming out with beers that are as strong as wine. Sort of.
See, the thing is, I think that like here we get this preconceived notion that we're like proper drinkers, but you go on the continent, like Belgium and places like that, and they're talking like 9-10% for a beer that tastes smooth. Do you know what I mean? That you can like get a couple of them and you're like on your back. Honestly, man.
Yeah, we're not ready for it.
No, we're not.
Genuinely, no part of that has actually disappointed me, other than the initial. Oh, it's a bit small.
Yeah.
Fair dues. The trigger on this is so much heavier than on a TM. Honestly, I don't know whether it's like. There, it's done it again. It's just basically because of the or it seems like it's because of the hammer unit in the back here, like tilting. And it just, I thought I kind of fixed it. You just got to kind of. I get why the person ended up taking it apart, like to start off with. It's just. It's a really frustrating airsoft gun, because the recoil on it is great. Like, it feels nice to shoot, and you don't notice like the heaviness of the trigger when you shoot it, because you just kind of like it breaks nicely. God, it's just that reliability, isn't it? Like, reliability is key. That is like 1,000% the most important, like the most important thing. If it's not going to work, then you might as well take like a 3D printed airsoft gun, like just one that had no internals. It's like, well,
and that's really why TM rules away. It's reliability.
Annoyingly, yeah. It's like, yeah, they just do a really good job at making something that will just fling a BB down range, like where you're expecting it to go.
Which is what you want.
That's it's kind of final, isn't it? Well,
And it's a shame because it's a nice pistol.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. It's quite light.
Yeah, you see that?
Yeah. It's wide. Wider, right? Like, why is it so inclined to do that?
It just feels like there's so much. Yeah, it just doesn't feel right, does it? There's just something about it. It's just not right.
And then if you give it like smack the back of the side to put it in battery, and then you can rack it a couple of times, and you'll be like, oh, it just feels normal. Like,
yeah,
it's
it's a shame because it's a nice looking pistol.
I really like the fibre optic front and the blacked out like rears. That's a particular like favourite of mine.
Oh, it's nice. It's just a shame it doesn't work as it should do.
Well, yeah, I had to wait ages to get the parts, and then after I put them in, was like, I was then like, oh right, okay, now I'm faced with the problem that the original person was faced with. So, yeah, it literally just seemed to be the hammer unit at the back here having like the tiniest bit of movement, but it doesn't seem like it's really got a lot of movement now, but there is.
It's just enough that it's
basically
that slide coming forward.
Yeah, that's it. It's just like not quite consistent enough, and he just needs to have that screw in the back like hard down. And if it doesn't, because as soon as like I thought I'd do what you normally do with a TM Glock, which is as soon as you put the pin through the back, you can just run it. Like put the slide on and run it. I mean, I think, pardon me, my one might even not have the screw in the back. In fact, like, and it's yeah. So this is my one. Yeah, like no screw in the back. Like I'm not even bothered with it because it's just like, and you reach in and there's a tiny bit of movement. It's got like a tiny bit of rocking back and forward, but at no point does that stop the system from actually just like functioning. Like it just, I just don't know how VFC have got a system where it's like the most fractional amount of movement like jams the whole system up, and yet TM have done something that's almost identical, and it's got so much more like forgiveness in the system, and it just wants to work. Like,
it's just frustrating.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it's bizarre. But I don't understand why that is. Like, I mean, that is obviously how it is, but I just don't understand why that is how it is. So, unfortunately, I have to do a bit more playing around with this gun and see if I can figure out if there is something else. To be fair, the last time I did a video about this gun, the guy from Red Wolf, Gambit, that guy, he does like the techie sort of GBBR stuff, he reached out and was like, yes, that does look like that's the reason that someone's broken it. But I don't understand why it's not just being normal.
Even just racking it, you can see that it's just
it's sort of
it's
like
laboured.
It's sort of like
there's catching on it.
And if you hold the trigger down and try and pull the slide down, it's just just like not nice. With this, like click, like
just smooth.
Just like that's just normal, right? And then I didn't realise that until I sort of picked this up and was like, oh my god, like why is it being so like objectionable to being used like an airsoft gun? Like it's just bothersome.
It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. Right, so you bought some other guns as well.
Yeah.
You've got your MP7 as well, and to be fair, no, you're about to reach for your Staccato because that probably is the most interesting. 4.3 Staccato, again with an O-light, with the vector optics.
Yeah. Honestly, it's just a bit of a dream build, to be honest with you. Something I just wanted to build for a while, and
definitely
eventually decided to take the plunge, put some money into it, and honestly, I'm so happy with it. So happy with it.
So you can get like the army ones that are for 130, 140 quid, but you went, nah, let's do that like once in an airsoft career build of, I've seen this, I really want it, I'm just going to build it how I like
100%. And I couldn't find the Nova slide, so I went for the Gunsmith Bros one. But to be honest with you, probably saved a bit of money doing it, and also the fact is, I think with this the Nova one, it comes pre-built.
Oh right.
So it's proprietary. So with this, I've basically been able to put in what I want into it, basically.
Oh, so you can still go for like a lightweight blowback housing and stuff.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
And yeah, I absolutely love it. It's
it feels great. I love a 4.3. Like that's my favourite out of all of the.
Yeah, it's the compactness. It's great. I love playing CQB. So for CQB, in my opinion, this is just like the best I could build. You know, there's a few things on it that I might have changed, but
what irks you about it? What could you not possibly like about
the only thing that really annoys me about the Gunsmith Bros slide is the rear sight.
Okay.
Not so much the front sight, because you could change that as a rear sight. It's, if you can see, it's like pretty much flush with the vector optics.
It is, yeah.
If it was a little bit higher, I'd have been happy with it, and I know you get that with the Nova Staccato one. But at the same time, it's I mean, I'm using a red dot, so I'm not using the iron sights.
Yeah.
So it's just little things like that. But that little bit of saving means I can put the money in the rest of the gun. And
you pointed out to me earlier the fact that you've gone for the ambi safety, because that's what you saw on the real steel staccatos, which is not what you really get on the airsoft ones.
And I'm a bit of a stickler for sort of like trying to build my guns as real steel guns.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? The same with my BCM. You know, it's very much a GPR group, sort of GSPR, what the hell they called, group sort of build. You know, I wanted it to look like a civilian build kind of rifle.
And
it's the same with the pistol. You know, I know this is technically probably more of a it's probably more of a like a duty style, like a police pistol build kind of thing. But for me, it's.
The staccatos are still not cheap pistols.
No. It just feels great in hand. And the other part of my ethos was I wanted to build a pistol that was as reliable and as accurate as possible, because I use an MWS. Because I got that sort of low capacity ammunition, if you like. You know, I wanted something that I could, as my secondary, that was reliable, that was, you know, just spot on. You know.
Yeah.
And look good at the same time.
Yeah. So that's mostly what it's all about.
100%.
Like and what looks good.
And obviously, it's a TM 4.3 base, if you like. Although there's very little of it that remains.
Yeah, of course.
The blowback unit, barrel. Not even the barrel anymore. Actually, the hop unit. A few little bits, but the rest of it is just purely. It is purely almost a brand new gun, and I love it. It just feels great. It's great to shoot.
I've shot it. It is. It is very nice. I was playing with. I can't remember where I put my. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So I have a similar, like I've got a 5.1 DVC tactical, like Gunsmith Bros build. Again, really like it. Like it's everything about it is smooth, well fitted. It shoots great, and yeah, all you've got to do is just change the recoil spring depending on what time of year you're at. Like if it's the summer, you can go a bit heavier. If it's the winter, you just go for like this, just super light springs. And
that's the thing. It's just how buttery the slide is. It's just so
the fitment
buttery.
Is,
honestly,
the fitment is excellent. Sorry, there's lots of BBs all over the floor, as well as actually no one can really see on camera, but I was playing around with the Shaytac for a little bit earlier. Which is like
it's a beast.
Yeah, like a 10 kilogram. Oh my god. Yeah, too much. I need to do another video, Max. It is a really cool gun. Right.
I don't know how skirmishable that thing is, but it's just.
Not at all.
No, not one bit. Not one bit. It's literally pick a position and just stay there for the rest of the game. It's just a monster.
The most important thing is the CO2 bolt, which is not the one that's in there at the moment, but like 500 FPS on like a .48 BB.
That's mad.
That's not for skirmishing,
No.
At all. With the green gas bolt, yeah, it can be done.
But would you want to look that around a field for a couple hours?
No.
Probably not.
No.
But I mean, it will definitely turn heads. That's for sure.
Yeah. But it was one of those things. I always wanted a shallow ejector. Right? They're cool. You don't really get it in airsoft.
No, of course you don't. But it's.
And so, yeah.
So when you see it and you pick it up and you feel the weight of it and you're just like, geez, this is like, this is next level. But at the same time, unless you're doing a mil sim and you're happy to just sort of like camp out somewhere for like several hours, do an Overwatch or something, great. But another reason that it'd just be too much.
There's a guy at NAE, like 3 or 4 years, like before COVID hit, and it's like a ghillie sniper, and all he wanted to do for the entire weekend was get into like Bravo team's base and just take one shot. Like that's all he wanted. Like wasn't interested in shooting anyone else on the field. He wanted to take out like the Bravo commander in their own base, and that's what he spent his whole time doing. And it was like for like 5 hours, like slowly like evading people, getting into position, like all to take this one shot. And that was what he was like. Got his shot, killed the guy, and pretty much after that was just like, so I'm fucking like went to the bar after that, which is like, I've done like what I really wanted to achieve.
But you know, it's like what we were saying with the MWS. It's like you know, like using the gas blowback platform. It's knowing that that one shot, that one kill, is worth it. You know what I mean? Rather than sort of like, you know, spamming a trigger several hundred times to get one kill. The one shot with that, it's just worth it. It's worth it.
Shooting earlier.
Is that with the SAIGA?
No, that's not with the SAIGA. Like these holes are massive. This is where I was shooting.
What?
The Shaytac. I was shooting 8mm BBs into it, which I think they're so rare. Like I just end up collecting them afterwards, kind of, because they're massive. Like you can't just hoover them up. Like compared to
a 6mm, jeez.
Yeah, compared to a 6mm, they are like. So it's a pretty huge. You're like, hang on, going up 2mm, I bet it like fully doubles the size.
I was just gonna say like it's 2mm, but it looks twice the size.
Yeah, it's twice. It is like basically twice the size.
What weight's that then?
0.48. So they are old school Madbull, 0.48. Yeah, hefty. hefty BBs. But similar to, well, the same as those 6mm Accuracy International. That's the thing, like, you never used to be able to get white heavyweights, and it's only in the last, like, I don't know, maybe like, I guess 10 years or so actually, that you've been able to get like above a 0.4 and above in like, a white BB.
Yeah.
Because people used to, you know, they used to do black ones, and I guess they were just trying to like gaslight the airsoft community into being like, oh yeah, black BBs are better because no one can see them coming. I'm like, yeah, but you can't see them shooting either. Like unless your rifle is like absolutely dialed in,
you ain't gonna know.
Yeah, you're not gonna know. Like, did I miss to the left, to the right? You just, like no adjustments. Like, we use Kentucky windage so much in airsoft. Like, that's a big part of it. And so, not having anything to go off, you just like, it's when you see like real steel shooters that are shooting like out to a mile. If they don't see the splash of where the bullet hits, like all they can do is aim for the center and pull the trigger again. Like, and it's only once you've seen like where the bullet hits that you can do something about it. And so, using these black BBs, I think the only time that I saw them being used really effectively was when someone had this guy, this years ago, like a 300 round like high cap, and he put like 200 black BBs and 100 white BBs in, and like shaking it up, and so it kind of acted like tracers.
Yeah.
And so, because he was always shooting on full auto, it would mean that actually, someone that was looking out, they would see BBs coming towards them, but they wouldn't see the black BBs in between. So that was kind of cool. Like, that was different, but
I guess like using tracers in like a CQB game, like you can see them going out, but the opposition can see them coming in.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Oh, you see
great
that?
for seeing where they hit, but at the same time, you're sort of like
tracers are great.
Yeah.
But I love it when other people are using tracers.
Yeah.
Because it gives me that extra split second to get my head back in.
Yeah.
I see the flash happens before the BB gets to me, and it gives me a moment, and that's sometimes all you need. The amount of times you feel like the BB whip past your face, but you hear it crack into the wall behind you, whoa, that was that puckered me up. I realised that one was coming in.
100%.
Damn. But that's what I'm hoping tomorrow will be a lot of fun. I'll bring the AKX out. I think there's a couple of people that want to have a go with that. I will try not to hog the SAIGA all day.
The AKX is just another level. I absolutely love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I kind of.
It's annoying that they're charging that it is so expensive that it comes at such a premium.
Yeah.
And I kind of get it, and I kind of don't. I'm like, it is. If you wanted to build that, you'd have to get the DITAC kit and stuff, and it's kind of cheaper than buying an AK and then putting those parts on it. But
I think if you want an AK that looks like that, I think it's the best route to go down. If you want a tactical AK, it's definitely the best route to go down.
Yeah. So Alex said that he had some he didn't buy the barrel kit or something like that, and so it meant that. There you go. You can have.
Yeah, I love it. I
that
absolutely love this.
And I'll have this.
It's the weight that goes with it. It's just such a chunky boy. It's unbelievable.
The balance on it is fantastic.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing. It's heavy, but it's comfortable at the same time. And I think I skirmished it last game we used.
You did, yeah. You took it out for a game.
It was just such. It's so satisfying to fire. And I think I said to you, it's not the fact that you necessarily hit every time. It's the fun of firing it.
Yeah.
And the weight and the feel and everything about it just feels so good to skirmish.
I'm really looking forward to as soon as that Hephaestus steel rod gets delivered, then I'll put that in and see how that changes the feel of it, and see what their recoil spring is like as well. So hopefully they're going to arrive and we'll get the Hephaestus heavy recoil piston for this AKM as well.
Yeah.
And then I can test it against the Angry Gun, because ultimately Hephaestus are just better quality than the Angry Gun stuff, or in my experience they have been. So I'm really looking forward to them, but it's going to be maybe a couple of weeks before those parts arrive. But the way they've done the locking system as well for the top rail, so you've got that little dial bit at the back of the receiver, and it pushes into a V, and it means that there is just no wobble at all.
Do you know, I've just noticed that as well.
Yeah, the built-in.
That is sick. It's just such a. Just when you talk about that, I just noticed it now, and it's just such a
It's really good. I don't really think there are any downsides that I found to it. Obviously, there is, unlike the MWS, which over time sort of develops a little bit of play. This doesn't really suffer from that at all, because there is nothing to there is nowhere to develop play. It feels like an absolute tank the whole time,
and it's so solid. There's no movement anywhere in it whatsoever. There's just nothing. That's coming from the bottom, that little tiny tap, but the rest of it is just such a solid rifle. It's just
there is something about it that I really like, sort of classic wood AK and everything like that, and these are really nice, but this had the reliability, and this ticked every single box. And in the middle of winter, when I mostly play CQB games because I don't want to be out driving winds at 0 degrees and getting rained on, I'd rather be in a building, but it's still really cold for gas blowback, and the MWS will handle it, but the AKs handle it better. Just because they've got the slightly larger nozzle diameter, inner diameter, there's a little bit more room for gas expansion. And so even at 0 degrees, this thing will just chug out on full auto. The problem is, it's just too long. And it's when you compare this to that's it. Straight away, we've just kind of like knocked so much off the front end.
It's almost 6 inches, isn't it?
Yeah, like, yeah, that's about 6 inches off the front. And the fact that you can then fold this as well and just bring it right down just means that it just dominates completely.
It's
like,
an ultimate CQB.
the selector on it is also really nice. The fact that you've got, instead of being forced to kind of like change your grip or use your other hand, the fact that you can just with one finger. It's just
like, if I was going to go for an AK, because I love my CQB, but if I was going to go for an AK, 100% this would be what
it's
and I wouldn't even change
peak CQB.
I wouldn't even change it, except for maybe like what you've done here on the charging handle.
Yeah, that's not for everyone. I think it's cool, but
I do. You know, depending on how you want to do it. I'm not so used to the AK platforms, but this for me, like, I remember using it and I was like, I want this so bad.
That's all the more reason to get an AK. If you're like, oh, I'm not very familiar with the platform, you'd be like, well, then you need to get one to get familiar with it. And so, and that's honestly, I think the very first AK that I ever picked up was one of the old school TM like AEG AKs. And I swear, every time I looked down it, I was like, is this thing like bent at an angle or something? Like, something about it just wasn't, like, didn't sit right. And I was like, nah, AKs aren't for me. And then years and years later, I picked up an E&L, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, okay, I think I might understand this AK thing. They feel so solid. There's never any like wobble in the receiver or anything. Like, there was something about, like, it did change my perspective, honestly. And
I was like that about the M4 platform. I was not. Everybody's got an M4.
It wasn't
for me.
How can you make an M4 your own?
Exactly. But then it's when you get the M4 and then you make it your own.
Yeah, and
that's the thing, you know. And I absolutely love it now. But using this as well, I mean, I can definitely see.
I mean, that's pretty much stock as well. There's no like real stuff that's been done to that.
There's very little I would do. If this was mine, there'd be very little I'd do to it.
Yeah.
Certainly for a while, until like things need replacing and stuff like that. I just think the feel of it, it's just a perfect gun out of the box. In terms of like the way it feels, the way it looks.
The cold weather performance. Like and for me, I don't know whether I'm actually going to change like the hop setup in it. Because I don't need to hop anything more than a 0.25. That is very much, if I'm going out into the field, I'm going to be taking a full length AK because that's what I'm like. If I'm running CQB then, or like urban, then yeah, I'm going to run that setup because it's cool for Op 4. You know, I can put some Gucci stuff on it and still not feel like I'm going to be overpowered by like every single M4 guy. There's something about that does tick every box. Like, you fold the stock in, you're like, it still feels great. It slings really well. Yeah, they're like,
it's just a great gun. It just feels great.
It really is.
But the thing is the weight of it. It's the weight of it that got me when I first held it. And I'm just like, this is a chunky boy.
It's like when you pick up the Uzi, like the steel Uzi, and you're like, wow, that's a lot heavier than I was expecting it to be. I was surprised at that as well when I unboxed it first. I did actually do a video of my unboxing, but it was interrupted because I was really hungry yet again and ordered food and was trying to like rush out my unboxing because I was really wanting some Chinese food. That's just how it goes. I should put it out actually, just because it's quite a funny video of me just being a bit of an idiot. And the video that I forgot, that I uploaded to YouTube and then like just forgot to post. Just forgot to post. Just having a tough month. In like February and March, and forgot to post it. So I'll have to like put that up in the next few days with a little bit of context behind it.
But I'm sorely tempted by one of these, 100%. We were talking earlier on, and like,
yes, finally my phone is charged. It's only taken like hours.
It'd be a shotgun or something like this. I want to get an AK build for like milsims and do an Op 4.
That's pretty. I mean, the thing is,
but
if you were going to have one AK, then that would be the one. And Bavtac do the nub basically that you can just drop straight into there, and that immediately means you can start hopping heavier BBs and treating it a bit more like a standard NWS. I mean, what did you put a 6G nub, like the brass nub in yours, and that's it, just left it stock, and I bet it shoots great. Like
stock bucket, stock bucking, stock barrel, stock hop unit, and yeah, massive improvement. And we were talking about the BavTac set plate earlier on, weren't we, as well?
We were, yeah. I finally done my little review thing. Yeah.
And I think
it is great.
I might give it a go on this. This has currently got the Angry Gun. I know Angry Gun. I put the Angry Gun Z plate in it. In fairness, no problems with it, and I've been happy with it. But from what we were talking about earlier on, I think it might be the next thing I might do to this. Yeah,
honestly, it was. I think they're just in here somewhere. So, I'm just getting a collection next to me. So we've got 4 different Z plates here. And if I put them all so the ends meet each other, you'll see where the different catching points are. Yeah. Well, if I've got them all the same way up anyway, you will. And then you'll see that one of them sits way further forward, like this one here, which happens to be the BavTac one. So that's your like catching point. That's what it was on.
Oh yeah, so it's.
Yeah, you can see it's moved it forward like a lot further forward, and then you go back to the original one, and you're like, fuck, like it's massively different. You've got like over a centimetre.
I was gonna say, yeah.
of extra for it to catch on, so your chance of getting a and the fact of the matter is, like, you can't move that catch point any further forward that way because there ain't nothing like.
Can I feel the weight of it?
Yeah, like,
oh my god, it's so lightweight as well. Holy crap.
Yeah, it is decent. It's going to be my next thing that I say to people, like, this is genuinely worth getting, and that's it, because a lot of people will get it where the bolt lock function doesn't work like in the summer.
Yeah.
Just because the gas is hotter, everything's moving faster, and it just won't catch. But the fact of the matter is, like, the further forward you move that catching point, then the more chance you've got of it working without having to unscrew buffer tubes or change gases or do anything like that. Like, the only difference is it will mean that your bolt will stop ever so slightly further forward in the chamber. And you could look at that and go, oh, maybe if a bolt really stopped that far forward, maybe you wouldn't be chambering the next actual live round. But I think if you're looking at that, you're kind of missing the point. Like, you know, you just want it to work, right?
Even just looking at the way it's cut, there's no sort of rough edges or anything on it. It's
this
clean. Is the first time I've held one, and it, honestly,
so
like,
clean.
I think this will be my next sort of like upgrade for my MWS. I mean, like I said, I've had no problems really with the Angry Gun that's in this, the Angry Gun Z plate, but
I mean, that's the gun's modifying. You can see on the steel there has been a bit of warping, a little bit of bending. Like, it is taken some damage.
You can even see where it's been cut, that it's not, you know, there's a few tiny little burrs and stuff on it.
Yeah, it's not. The thing is, it always, up until this point, it has always been the best one.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, as soon as you line the two things up together, and this is like a luxury that I have that most people don't have, because having access to a few different versions, you can just directly compare them and be like, oh wow, like, and you just weigh them next to each other and you're like, okay, like, there's a 5 gram difference between like the original plate and the lightest version. And you're like, as soon as you're putting on a 5 gram badly, I can't remember how much they weigh, but as soon as you're just offsetting that weight straight away, and it's just.
But the thing is, you look at that, there's a little bit more material in that than there's in that.
Yeah.
But it's still lighter.
And it's still lighter, and it's made of stronger material. It's titanium as well, so.
It just gets me the fact that there's no sort of burrs or anything on it. It's just so sort of like.
It's so clean. Yeah. It's clean, really clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why I went and bought another one.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think I might be making a purchase on that, because, like I said, the only one on this, it works, but it's the longevity of it. You know?
Yeah. You want it to last forever and just be something that you never have to think about, and actually, for the money and for supporting someone like a local business, I think actually they do something pretty cool there, and they've got some other quite cool products as well. Jaeger Precision as well actually have got some like pretty cool stuff. So I've got a little box here of various things. I actually bought these from Bavtac as well. So these sort of things here, they basically go in the bottom of your AK mags, because the AK mags have got really long followers and they don't need long followers. So if you put these in, you can fit like 4 extra rounds, like 4 to 5 I think they say, in every AK mag. So I was like, well actually, because I've got like 6 AK mags, if you get 5 extra rounds in each of them, that's the same as carrying a whole other mag.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
And yet this is like grams, like this is like no weight at all. So I was like, actually that, and they're cheap as well. So obviously I've not even taken them out of the packet, not fitted them, not done any of that stuff yet. So I will do that at some point. I've just been crazy busy. Now Bavtac also sent me these, in all fairness. They sent me the cable management thing, and you've got one as well. So you've actually put this before I've even tested it out and given it a go, because
I think I had to do a slight bit of modification, because the OLED cable is quite thick.
But everything is, everything you have to like, pretty much everything you've got to modify. Like,
but I'm super happy with it. It's low profile. It works with the rest of the rail.
It looks really good. It looks clean. Yeah. Like it does sort out you don't have cables like flying about all over the place. It does look good. But we were saying earlier, like people get way too obsessed with like, is real steel a drop in? And you're like, yeah, like there's drop in, and then there's I had to like take 1 mil off with a file, and like that's basically drop in, but it can't be advertised as drop in. Yeah. And so like
it's like that. It's like my trigger guard. It's a BCM gunfire trigger guard. It's literally a couple of minutes of drill, if that.
Yeah, and it's like
it fits perfectly.
You take it, and
that's
it's like.
What you gotta do.
But they can't call it a drop-in on an MWS because it's not a drop-in. But the modification is so minimal, and it's so like, it's play school level modifications that you have to do to get it to fit.
It's like the QDM plate, exactly the same thing. 10 minutes with a Dremel, fits perfectly.
Yeah.
No wobble, it fits perfectly.
I did exactly the same thing. I've got exactly the same end plate on mine.
Yeah.
And
but it's the fact that you can use, because obviously, you know, when you've got all this stuff on, it's an expensive gun.
Yeah.
You want it to be retained on a sling pretty damn well. So if you can get real steel QDM plates on there with minimal effort, now it's worth doing.
I've had it with like fake QDs where they have come off. Yeah. And people will often say, "Oh no, there's no difference." Like there is a difference. Yeah. Like 100%. Like if you use the real, especially like the nice anti-rotational stuff, like real QD points and real QD receiver points, like. Yeah. They do work that much better. Like I remember I've had it on a Ferro Concepts before where the webbing has come apart and my rifle has like started to fall to the ground because literally the webbing's come unstrung. Yeah. But it's never been because of the QD point failing. Yeah. But with Airsoft QD, I have had that where it's just they're too out of tolerance, and you know, a Mad Bull is not the same as an FMA, and they pull out from each other. You know, great, that's like my £1,000 build that's now just ended up covered in mud. Yeah. And like ultimately one of the reasons you have a build like this is because you kind of can get it a bit muddy and a bit dirty, and it will shoot through it and it will keep working. You can
throw it around a lot more.
But you don't necessarily want to. You don't necessarily want to put it through that torture, but you can, like, it will take a lot more. Like, you're not like with an AEG where people are there and it's like, oh, it starts to rain, and I've seen people with like a bag, like putting like a carrier bag over their gun, and you're like, oh man, that's for shame. I mean, on a sunny day their gun looks amazing, and then as soon as the rain comes out they're like, oh, maybe not.
Precious over it, and that's the thing. You're not necessarily as precious over it to a degree because you know it can take it. Because
that's what I felt like.
That is real steel. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's what I felt. As soon as I put a real buffer tube and a real rail and stuff on it, and felt how much more solid the whole build was. Yeah. I then suddenly didn't feel so bad about literally turning round into a wall and just like smacking my barrel into a wall, and then I didn't really think about it. I was like, oh, smashed the wall there, looked at the wall, saw there was like a big old like gouge taken out of it, like looked at the flash hider on the front and noticed there was quite a bit of like wall on it. I'm like, well, yeah, that's fine, like nothing's wobbling, nothing's, you know, you shoot the gun a couple of things, yep, still shoots.
Works fine. Yeah.
Move on, and you're like, that's what you want, like that. And I know certainly with some, like if maybe with the stock build, if I'd have turned round at that kind of speed, yeah, I could have done some damage. But with the extra bits that I'd done, I was like,
and this is it. You know, it's not going to move. It's not going to move.
Yeah,
it's solid.
yeah.
It's solid. I'm still a bit precious over it because it's it's my baby, but at the same time, you could drop it and it's going to be absolutely fine.
Mm.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day.
I think you can tell. Because the thing is, because they're Cerakoted,
yeah,
like it's quite hard to like damage the finish eventually. And so, like, if you look inside of the magwell, it really gives you an idea of how long your MWS has been running. So you can sort of see in mine, it's almost like polished a bit.
Yeah.
As if you have a look in your magwell, how long have you been running yours? A couple of years now.
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, it's taken me about a year and a half to build.
Yeah.
They
hold up incredibly well.
But do you know what? The other thing is using the polymer mags. I think it does less wear and tear on the magwell itself.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, you're kind of on the guns modifiers a lot of the time. I've only got one guns modify, a couple of SAAs. I've got a double eagle polymer on the way, and I've got a T8, which I was never impressed with. But for the most part, I'm still just like stock MWS mags, which are they work great. They do a job. I think with the Garda routers, like you're upping your FPS and you do get like slightly better recoil, and that's quite a cheap upgrade to kind of do. But I don't know, like I'm really intrigued because this double eagle mag was like £35. So I want to see if it's any good, because guns modify ones, I've seen them going for like up to £80 a mag.
I think I paid about 65 for mine.
Yeah,
and I've
like
got about
not
4 of them, so yeah,
that's it. They're not cheap, and it does make like gas, but gas is already expensive.
Yeah.
Like going gas blowback. But the thing is, you do, and this is what I've also found it quite hard to explain. It is like a bit of a 10% bump in performance, and if you're already like so invested in the system and in the platform, is like spending an extra 30-40 quid over getting a few mags.
Yeah.
Like, are you you don't kind of go to the top of Mount Olympus and be like, oh no, well, I don't want to stand on the very top, I'll just stand near the top. It's like,
you want to get to the top,
mate, just I hate to say it, but sometimes you just got to throw the money at it and just
and then I put real steel M3 Ranger plates on there as well, which
so M3 ones, do they just drop
M3,
in?
yeah, pretty much drop in, no problem at all. The tiniest bit of movement, but I suspect you probably get that on real steel.
More, yeah.
I mean, it's tiny, but yeah, I bought them and they fitted, and they look great. They feel great, and there's a bit more protection if you drop them.
Yeah, that's very true.
But yeah, and they fit perfectly on them.
They do look cool.
It's just a bit different.
And exactly. And this is it. Like when you want something that looks a bit different, and you want something that's a little bit cool,
which is good.
That's good. I like that.
Anything Gucci, anything real steel, I can put on my gun. I try my best to do it, and it works. Honestly, it works.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. If I can find something real steel, like even a little trinkety little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like this extra like extension for the charging handle. This is real steel. Like the charging handle is MWS, but the extension is a real steel bit, and it's just because there's just another little bit. But it's not just, you don't just throw these things on for no reason. I do it because actually, if I'm pulling down the side here, I've got QD on my 3x. I've got like an EXPS here, which is like thick, and it's got QD. I want to be able to still grab that charging handle like every time I go past, while still clearing all of this.
It serves a purpose.
And exactly. I didn't just be like, oh, that's real steel, so I'm going to find a way to use it. I was like, well, no, that fulfills like a function that I need, like where I need to be able to.
It's like the bad lever. Like we were talking about this earlier on. Like it's not the fact that it's I can stick a bad lever on it. It's the fact that the bad lever, it works.
It works.
It's great for like locking the bolt back.
Yeah.
It's great for like when you put a mag in, and you can super quickly drop the bolt. It works well like that. It's great for lefties and everything else like that, brilliant. But for righties as well, it just speeds things up that little bit quicker for me.
Yeah.
And it looks different. It looks Gucci. Something about it looks really great. I know the is the MR16s what they call? What's it called? The MCRs. They have.
Oh yeah. They're
already built in. But there's just something a bit raw about this. Something.
No, there is something more. It's just.
It's adding a little bit to it, and it's a little bit more Gucci stuff you can put onto it. But it looks cool.
Yeah, that's all. That's literally all I care about.
And it works, which is the most important thing.
Very. Yeah, it's annoying that there's like with the MP7s and stuff that there is nothing to like hold the bolt open.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's one of those things that you never. It's weird. So on an AEG, you'd never do it. You'd never try and hold the bolt open at any point. But on a gas blowback, you'll shoot a shot and you'll be like, oh, that felt different. Like you'll notice something slightly different in the way that it performed, and you'll be like, nah, like, or you'll see that the bolt's not seated perfectly. So you want to like hold the bolt open, take the mag out. And so it has like a genuine function. It adds the speed because you can do all that one-handed rather than taking mags out and kind of having to go through the traditional manual of arms for like holding the bolt back. It does save you time. And in Airsoft, it's not like in the real world, like when people are actually like going to war, you know, this is like, you're already in the middle of a firefight. The whole point of doing Airsoft isn't like, I mean, I don't mind a mil sim, but I prefer a skirmish.
Yeah.
Because skirmish is like action.
Yeah.
It's like you're in a computer game, or you're like the biggest action star. You can do whatever you want, like, you know, within the rules of the game, but like you're free to do whatever you want and just go and have a blast. And that for me, like, how is this still like an okay sport when you can do whatever you want in this way? Like, I love it. Like when you get people that turn up and like, oh, I'm only going to run like 1940s kit. I'm like, I love that. Yeah. I love the fact that I am like next to a guy that's only going to be running. He's running like a bright yellow sniper rifle and he's having an absolute blast and he's wearing some like Fortnite outfit that I don't even know, you know. But they're doing their own thing, and yet they're next to guys that are like proper mil sim, like, you know, got all the like insignias,
multi-cam, everything.
Yeah, that's it. But everyone just like gets on, and like we all play together to just have fun. Like, it doesn't ruin my immersion. Like when I see a kid in a dye-eye mask, I'm like, you're gonna get shot. Like, and he's looking at me being like, I'm gonna shoot you. Like,
that's the beauty of it. That is the beauty of it.
It's so basic, isn't it? But you do develop like certainly from when I started playing Airsoft to, I don't know, probably peaked a few years ago, I would have thought. But it's when you're doing like a lot of CQB and you don't even know that you're like shooting.
Yeah. Like,
you almost get surprised by someone, you will turn with the gun and just pull the trigger and it just happens.
Yeah.
And the amount of times that's like, I used to get that like down at the courts in Bristol.
Yeah.
It's like, you just bang, oh God. And they're like, oh, yeah, you hit them and they're like, I don't even know what happened there, sorry about that. But it's cool that you can develop these like twitch reflexes, which are almost like cheat codes. Like,
and it's 100%. It's true, innit? It's sort of like you get so like honed into doing it, you know. And that's the thing. I mean, I love going out into the woodlands and stuff like that and stuff. But CQB for me is where it's at because of things like that. Yeah. It's instant. It's like you're not looking at somebody like 50, 60, 70 meters away and trying to shoot them through woodlands and stuff
not
like that.
Floating that shot in.
You know, you could be like 3 or 4 meters away from them. You know what I mean? And it's instant. You know,
yeah,
it's like crack, crack. And but that's where I think that things like the gas blowback guns come into their element. Yeah. Because it's like that. It's snappy. It's the noise. It's them reacting.
It is
to the
a lot of it is the noise. 100%. I've got to say, yeah.
And that's the thing with the MP7. The amount of people who've said like, because obviously I got an MP7 as well, but the people who sort of like, God, that gun's it's loud. You know what I mean? It might not be accurate. It might not be the best gas blowback gun that I'm using, but people hear it. It puts their head down. You know what I mean? It gets them, and it's the same with the SAIGA. Like, you know, we used that a couple of weeks back. Like, you can hear it.
It's so intimidating.
100%.
The SAIGA 12K, I can't overstate how intimidating that is. For
even being on the same team behind you when you're firing it, and you notice it, and you're like.
So I'm glad. Yeah. Like, and that's what I'm going to try and do tomorrow as well. Try and do some they say like what call it aggressive gameplay, but it's not aggressive. It's like it's not uncontrolled aggression.
No.
That's dangerous. Like it's very much like I know that this is quite powerful. I know that it's actually quite a powerful tool, and so that you have to use a certain amount of discretion, like when taking your shots with it. So I don't think it's maybe for. It's for people that kind of know what they're doing a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think in the wrong hands, like it could be a bit dangerous, and it's a bit like when the AA-12 came out and the Thor's hammer, and it was like full auto, electric, 1200 round box mags, at 3 shots each time. Some of this stuff is like, I mean, it may still be a low velocity, it's still maybe like low power.
Yeah.
But it's still that's a lot of firepower going down range. I know a lot of sites sort of stepped in and were like, yeah, we don't know how, we're not really keen on these.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that the SAIGA has going for it is you've got 15 shots in a mag.
Yeah.
And so you are limited. Like the maximum BBs that you could put down is 45 in one sitting, with your 15 shots. There are people that have got DSG builds that are 60 rounds a second. So one of those guys with a high cap is holding the trigger down for 1 second and he's shot more than you have in all 15 trigger pulls. So I don't think they're like necessarily overpowered, but I think they can be because of the way that shotguns work in Airsoft, because you get 3 shots, because there are 3 BBs with each shot.
Yeah.
That is what makes the difference between like winning corners and losing corners, and being able to pop out, get a couple of shots down, and that's like 6 BBs. You're definitely like at least 1 or 2 of those is going to be pretty much on target. You force that person to go up the corner, and then you're basically pushing down that corridor at that point. You control that corner, and you take up the slack, and like that's what I mean by like some like controlled aggression.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean, like you're doing aggressive like gameplay because you're trying to control corners and you're trying to control what the other players are doing and where they're willing to come out from, but you're not like shouting and screaming at them.
Yeah.
Like different kind of aggression.
Oh no, 100%.
But
100%.
That's what I'm looking forward to tomorrow, trying to bring some of that into the game.
Yeah.
And
that's it. I think we talked about earlier on. It's like for breaching, like protecting corners, things like that, attacking corners. It's great for that. Because one pull of the trigger, 3 BBs, and you're not having to like take cover again to like pump it back up for a second one. You just can keep an eye on that corner constantly.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite.
It's a game changer, really.
Yeah,
in terms of like for CQB and things like that, it's a game changer.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be really good. Hopefully, it won't like have the same fate as maybe some of the other full auto shotguns have done in the past. Obviously, this does have that secret full auto mode, and Explosive Enterprises did a whole like this is how it works, and like they do some really great, like they got some great content, to be fair. Those guys. Like I think it's just a guy in America, but he looks at some really cool builds. He's a bit more into like some of the VFC stuff and things like that, but I like great content. Like I know that anyone that's probably subscribed to my channel is probably already subscribed over to his, but if they're not, Explosive Enterprises, go check them out. There's a bunch of there's so much good stuff coming out on YouTube at the moment. There was like for MWS stuff, there was that like Pingu guy.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of his stuff.
He's really good. Like he's on point. Like Jaeger Precision as well. I think he used to be part of. He was part of an airsoft shop. Like if you look at some of his older videos, they're from like maybe not Airsoft Direct, but it's one of these UK retailers. Bespoke, actually. I think it's Bespoke Airsoft, and I don't know if he's like branched off and done like Jaeger Precision, but it's funny actually because he did a video all about the the power restricting valves for the AKMs. He was like, oh, if you're a content creator, then like hit me up and you can get like a couple to review. And so I didn't hit him up. I was just like, he's a small guy, and I like, my principles. Like if they're a small retailer and they, they're not one of the big boys and they're going to struggle to get through, then like try and support them. So I just went out and bought the 5 different valves to adjust the power on my AKM. So I'm going to put these to the test. And the fact that I've bought these myself means that I can be as critical as I want. But I genuinely think they're going to be good, but I've got to test them first. And you know what? Did I show you these? So Jaeger Precision have come out with some new hop nubs for the MWS. And what they do is, in the side of the MWS hop-up, in fact, I think I might even have an MWS hop-up on this desk or around here somewhere. There's actually a couple of like holes at the side, like slots, which are kind of unused.
Yeah.
Like Jaeger Precision's hop nubs actually have wings that go out and engage in there, so it keeps it like steady as it pushes down. Got a couple of those to test out. That could be very, very interesting. And yeah, oh god, in the pub earlier, so we were sort of talking about the hop project and like how it's become really difficult to get over the line. And I'm probably going to try and get it done in the next few months. But to address like what we talked about, like the main points of if you want to increase range, increase accuracy and things like that, that it's all about, as far as range and accuracy goes, Laylax have done loads of testing and they say 6.08 mil as an internal diameter for your inner barrel is the best one to go for, which is actually what the stock MWS inner barrel already is. And then actually just increasing the weight and the quality of your BB are the biggest things you can do. But every time you change anything, you've got to rebed it in. And I was talking to Gaz at Red Wolf about this, and he was basically agreeing and saying, yeah, like when you've had a hop up that you've put 20,000-30,000 rounds through, like it has just meshed together, and you can then get the latest and greatest hop up rubber, drop it in, and you won't see any better. Your performance will go down. And it's not until you've then meshed that one in with the system and got it all kind of like working sweetly that you're then going to see any improvement in results. And it's like, it's a long-term thing, and a lot of and even then, like if you've got different nubs or different ways of like hopping it, that is going to mesh differently. It's all going to have to, you've kind of got to test every combination for an extended period of time to be able to get any kind of like definitive results. And even then, like if you crank your outer barrel like that little bit extra, then it can throw the whole like it can actually twist your hop up chamber, and then it's throwing the whole thing off, and you like it's an absolute minefield.
It's why I'm reluctant at the minute, like I said earlier on, to do anything with my MWS at the minute, apart from the 6G Super Nub. I've done nothing else to it. It's
I would say, like for most people, that is the best thing to do, just
because it works.
If you want to, like, if you want to see those increases in range and accuracy, it's all about heavier BBs, higher quality BBs. Like, and this is what I was saying. Like, some people may be like, oh, well, I've switched from like 0.4 BBs are really expensive, so I bought 0.4 Bulldog BBs, and I'm like, you flopped it. Like, there's no point in buying heavyweight BBs that are a really cheap brand and that are still not. And it sounds a bit elitist, but it's really not. It's just, you wouldn't find someone that's got like a Ferrari and they're putting the local garage's tires, or they'd be looking at the Pirellis and you want to put something quality through the gun if you really want to get some quality results out. But yeah, I can't speak highly enough of like heavyweight BBs, high quality, high polish, like multi-polished, like ideally like smaller BBs just work a bit better in Japanese guns, and the smaller BBs tend to be like BLS manufactured in Taiwan, any of their stuff, and like the Jeffs, like they seem to just run the best. But for the most part, they'll eat anything. Like anything you chuck through them, they'll eat it. But you do see a big step up in performance when you start hopping those heavier BBs. And for the most part, all you got to do is just increase the amount of pressure that you're putting on that nub. Like, that's it. And like you said, putting in, you can do those things like Omega nubs. You can do Bavtac have got an option of like nubs. They work perfectly well. They're kind of like the Omega nubs, but a little bit flatter. You've got the 6G, like you said. There's another brass nub that I've used. You can even use the Biro mod, like anything really.
Yeah.
Like all you've just got to do is just get more pressure going down on that system. And yeah, I did a video. Oh god, I never posted it. It was probably a couple of years ago. But I swear it was like a milk bottle, and it had the perfect curb on the edge of this like plastic milk bottle. And so I cut this little square out, glued it onto an eye key, and I put that in my hop, and I was running that for ages, and it was amazing. And it was like, it ran great. And I've still got it somewhere. But I was like, no, I can't put a video about like telling people just to do this like weird like modify it yourself, because it's so finicky, and it's like one bit of glue in the wrong place and it's going to send all of your BBs to one side.
What might work for you in that particular, the way you cut it, might not work another time.
And that's it. And so you want to like put something out there that's going to be like people can be refer to that and be like, oh, this is a good way of doing it.
I might not get the same results.
But yeah, you may not get the same results. But I think it tends to be like, if all of your focus is on like, oh, I just need to hop some heavier BBs, then you're on the path to like better accuracy, better range, all of that stuff. All that good stuff that we strive for. Personally, I couldn't believe that the SAIGA eats .32s as well as it does and just spits them level. Like that blew my mind. I was expecting, after the videos I'd seen, like maybe .25s would be level, but as soon as I started stepping the weight up and was like .3s, I was like, it's still lifting them. And like got to 3.2s and it like had a tiny bit of lift on it to like maximise the range, and then as soon as I went to 3.6s, they started to dip a bit more, and I was like, this thing is nuts.
It's insane.
At like over 40 meters to get like, and the groupings that I was getting was like a door width. So it's like if someone's like leaning round a doorway, or like stood in a, if they're stood in a doorway at 40 meters, they're hit. Like no ifs, no buts, they're hit. But even probably with 3 BBs.
Even skirmishing, if you're firing against a hut or something like that, and you're firing through a window, you got a good chance of hitting somebody. Yeah, especially if you're getting within like 30 meters of someone. Yeah, it's like body width. Like head size, you know, like within 20 meters, it's kind of like head size. It's like you can see any bit of their head. Like when you pull the trigger, you're probably going to get hit. It's a mad gun. I was blown away by it when you use it. But honestly, it's just a mad gun. It was fun to like let other people shoot it, like on lunch break and things like that. But I felt a bit bad that I was like, didn't let anyone else play it for a game. Like every game that last game that we played, where I was like, right, if you stay here and you cover this angle, and I'm going to cover down this corridor, and we just like held them back. Like it was mad. You got so many kills in there. Mad. But it was fun because I remember saying to you at one point, and this was like where decades of like experience come in, and there's like a view through the side, and you had a perfect like view, like a perfect shot, like through a doorway and through a hole in a wall. And I was like, what you need to do is take 2 steps back. That way, if anyone comes through this door at the side, they're not gonna, you know, someone else can shoot you from this corridor now. So you've got this angle perfectly. Now you've got to adjust the angle so you're less viewable. And that you were there for until the end of the game. Like you basically didn't get killed until the end of the game. And it's like, you know that if you're paying attention, especially if you're focused on one area, as long as you're not viewable from anywhere else, like other people make a lot of noise. And you're going to hear people coming in and just be like, I'm ready to take you on, I'm ready for like this shot or that shot. And I was just loving just running down the corridor and flanking the other team. When you're like, as soon as you'd shot about 3 or 4 people in a row, I was like, there might be quite a few people in that room. I'm just going to go run around behind them and just shoot them all and then run back to this position again. I think I had a weapon hit against you, didn't I? You came through underneath. I came through and it was like, ping! Off we go. I was like, weapon! Mate! What's your fire? You're like, sorry. Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Mad. It was so much fun, honestly, but like stuff like that that's why we play. For like 100%. Memories like that. 100%. And I've had it years ago when people have like got that perfect shot on me, and I've been there like convinced no one knows where I am, like nobody knows I'm here. I'm like there peeking round, and a shot just comes in and hits you on the head, and you're like,
bravo.
Just smile
like,
and take it, innit?
Bravo. Like, whoever got that shot, like, oh, they must have had me, like, in their sights, and I'm there just like no idea what's going on, like a total numpty, and they're just, like, zoned in on me. And, like, I know that feeling. I know how satisfying for that other person to have, like, stalked me, like, got me in their sight, got that perfect shot, and then me to not even know, like, for them to have seen my just confusion at getting hit. Like, I can feel, I feel it from the other side as well, and I'm like, oh, mate, like, and people will come up to me in the safe zone and be like, mate, I got you, like, and you, like, flinched and you, like, jumped out, and I'm like, yeah, like, it's brilliant, like,
it's what it's about, isn't it?
I'm so childish, like, honestly, like, I think that's my biggest weakness, really. I'm such a child about it. I'm just, like, I still get that excitement, like, before going to a game, I'm like, butterflies in my tummy, like, oh, what's it going to be like? And I don't know why that's never died. I don't know why that never changed.
It's like when you get that great kill, especially when you're using, like, a gas blowback, and you get that one shot, that one kill, and you get that little bit of a giggles inside, and you're like, ooh, you know what I mean? It's a proper goofy giggle you get, but it's just like, yeah, that's it.
Oh, and no, again, it's what it's about. It's why we do it. Yeah. Like, it's not about going out and farming, like, oh, I got this amazing, like, 500 kill streak, or like, no, I just want to, like, yeah, kill streaks are cool, they're fun, but it's sometimes when you, like, help someone else, or like the amount of times in a game where I've seen a kid that's sort of, like, a bit lost, and you're like, do you know what you're doing? Do you know where you're going? Like, what's wrong? Oh, my gun's not feeding. Oh, have you wound the bottom of it? And, like, having gone through, like, all, you know, I've been through AGs, I've been through all that. I've never really did HPA, the whole cable thing. And I had a couple of friends that had HPA builds that were like, they would go on about how great they were, and you'd see the trigger on it, and you were like, oh, mate, like, I know that you've got, like, a 3-ounce trigger, but there's nothing about that appeals to me. And it's so soulless and, like, impure. Like, just, no, I'd rather have an AEG. I'd rather have an electric gun.
It's not to hate on HPAs, but
HPA is, like, if you tune it, they're peak performance. Like, but that's what I don't like about it.
It's like what we were saying earlier on at the pub. It's like, it's having something that, you know, I do it for the immersion. Like, I do it because it's the closest thing in the United Kingdom we're going to get to fire a real AR-15.
For real, yeah.
And for me, it's like, I want it to perform like a real AR-15. In as much as, like, you know, the way you load it, the way you got to, you know, pull the charge handle back, the safety, the bad lever, whatever you want on it, it's that immersion for me is what makes that game for me. And we were talking about it earlier on. It's like, you know, you could have a guy with an AEG firing 100 rounds at you a friggin' second. You know what I mean? But you've only got one shot to take. Because you know you can't. You've only got 30 rounds, or whatever it is, in your mag. But when you get that kill, it's so much more satisfying with that than it is if you're using HPA or AEG or anything like that.
So much more.
And it's not to hate on it at all, because everybody's gameplay is different. Everybody likes different things out of the hobby. But for me, that for me is much more better. If I get one kill with that and get killed 10, 15, 20 times, it's the fact that I've got a kill with that makes me, you know, it's that little bit of, you know, it's worth it. I've got it perfect.
It's that much more satisfying. And that's what I've always found as well. I've always wanted, I remember when I first started playing and I used to use an AG and I still had a gas pistol, and almost at every opportunity I would just ditch my rifle by a tree and just run in with a pistol, because it was already a more fun option just to be running a gas blowback pistol. Even though back in the day it was like a KSC Glock 19, I was running lots of Western Arms and stuff, which weren't really that reliable. But it was still running in, having the noise, the blowback, like, you know, the feel and that extra immersion. And I couldn't wait for, like, gas blowback rifles to become good. You know, and I remember all the Western Arms, the KSCs coming out, and I was really tempted by, like, the KWA LM4, but it had a 3-piece upper receiver. Literally the upper receiver was like clamshelled, and then the rail went on top of it, and I was like, this is the dumbest system ever. Like, it's so unreliable. And then PTS basically came out with their Mega Arms, and it was like the first one to have a solid one-piece upper receiver, and I was like, well, you know, the KWA system's supposed to be pretty good, so I ended up getting one, and like nothing but problems like the whole time. And as soon as I was so willing to like give up on it and just go back to using my like Crytek CRB, but eventually I went, you know what, I'm done with this. Like, and then TM announced that the MWS was going to be released, and I was like, oh, here we go. Like, I'd had TM AEGs in the past. I'd had some of the gas blowback pistols, and I was like, this is it. Like, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the game changer. And I was right.
For the best part, 100%. Yeah.
Like, I don't have any complaints about it, because it is first and foremost an airsoft gun.
Yeah.
It's not a... If you want something that looks as close to real steel as you can get, but it's still airsoft, probably go Vipertech.
Yeah.
Like, super legit. But if you want to go out and like get lots of kills and not really have to maintain your gun as well, so one thing I'm quite bad at is like maintenance.
Me too.
And it's basically because with an MWS you don't really need to do a lot of maintenance. You can take your gun out, shoot it all day, put it in a case, leave it for a month, take it out, shoot it, put it in a case, a couple of weeks. Like, and all of these cycles, you know, you'll be putting thousands of BBs through it. You won't lube it, you won't clean it, you won't do anything. It's only when you start to notice something happen, you'll be like, oh, well, the bolt's a bit sluggish, or oh, the BBs are sort of wandering about. You'll then like clean the inner barrel, or you'll give everything a bit of a spray down with silicone and wipe it with a cloth. But oh god, that's filthy. Like, they run dirty. Like, and they run great dirty as well. Like, they run really well.
I very rarely clean this, honestly. Like, you know, a couple of times, you know, I've cleaned the barrel.
I think when you first get them, there is this like, not maybe a misconception, because when you first get them, like, as the coatings on the different parts are like wearing off, you do get more gunk building up. But certainly after you've had it for a while, like, they don't really build up too much like crap in there, really. And
that's the thing, you notice when it starts underperforming a little bit.
Yeah, you do. You get familiar with it, and
and you think that's not quite right, and you know, you look down the barrel and it needs a bit of a wipe. You know what I mean? Other than that, like, honestly, I'm not too precious over it.
No, and you don't. Really that's the point. You don't. You want it to be, and that's the thing. Like, you can either go for something like, you know, your VFCs or your Vipertech, where when you break that thing open and you look inside, you're like, wow, that looks real. Like, yeah, and now you've got to, like, but you can't treat it like it's real in terms of let the thing get absolutely filthy, like, let it, like, don't clean it for, you know, 20, 30 visits, you know, 20, 30 skirmishes, and you still don't clean it. Yeah. But you've had no drop off in performance. That's what a real AR-15 does. Like, that's what a real like gun users do. You know, if you do that with some of these higher end systems, they're great, but like, I think you'll struggle to go keep that like good performance. Yeah, I mean, I don't care. Like, I've never seen anyone, like, no one's ever split a rifle mid game and I've gone, oh wow, nice trigger group. Like, that has happened never. And if someone did split their rifle open mid-game, that's because they've got a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, you, like, with the MWS, sometimes you get a double feed, or like a failure to feed. It's actually more like double feed. It'll just fire 2 shots. Like, it's fine. But when you get like a failure to feed or something like that, then yeah, you know, sometimes you've got to get in there with a bit of an Allen key and things like that. But it tends to be, it's quite rare that you have to split a rifle open. And coming from like the KWA system, and like every game that I played, that rifle would be like split open on my lap at least twice, you know, in every hour-long game. It would be there in front of me, and I'd be worried about losing the extra little bit that, like, from the bolt and stuff like that. Just an absolute pain. And as soon as getting to the MWS, it was just a case of like, you can just shoot it, like you just pick it up. Oh, it's snowy on the ground. All right, we'll just make sure you've got green gas instead of like weaker gas, and just run it. Like,
and that's the thing, but it's so easy to work with.
Yeah,
it's such an easy system to work with.
Yeah, and
it
that's
really is.
Like, my mind isn't like tuned in for gears and pistons and things. But an expanding gas, it works enough like a real firearm that I can get my head around like how it works. And so, yeah, upgrading, teching, it's really not that difficult. It's really a case of like, oh, there's too much pressure here. Well, just cut the spring, or simple as that. Like,
it is. It's simple.
Nice bit of plug and play. That's what everyone needs, I think, in airsoft. Just make it like dumb it down, make it simple, make it fun. That's all airsoft is ever supposed to be. Just a very simple, fun thing to do. A great like, just immersion. Like great immersion. Like I know I've had a tough week at work this week. I've had loads of stuff going on, and it's been a bit of a nightmare. But I know that tomorrow when I'm playing airsoft, there is no way that I'll be thinking anything about that. Like all of those real world worries will just
gone,
evaporate. Like they won't exist anymore. So that's one of the main reasons I do it. I think that's one of the things. If you ever have a stressful job, you've had a stressful day, like especially with gas blowbacks, you can just set up a target and just have a little blat in your own house. Like
this is it. There's just something about it takes you away from the real world for a little bit. You know what I mean? For several hours you're out there.
Just long enough.
Passively aggressive shooting people. It's great fun.
It is.
I'm not saying the end of it.
And the community on it is really cool as well. Everyone is actually.
And especially the sort of gas blowback MWS community, I've noticed. Since
the MWS community is nuts. They're really cool.
It's like a weird little family when someone knows you're using MWS or any gas blowback. It's like, oh, there's another person. Like, you know what I mean? And you can have a great chat.
Yeah, you'll buddy up
together. I've met so many great people doing it, honestly.
Well, yeah, that's literally that's how we've met each other.
Yeah.
Like me and my old housemate Alex, like we know each other from the love of the MWS platform. It is weirdly one of the most like community guns that you can actually get, and that's weird. I never thought I'd be saying that, but it really is. It's something where everyone wants to help each other, and that's why I've been so scared about doing this like hop up project, because I don't want to bring anything to the community that's not of value and that's not going to be something that people are like, I learned from that, or like, okay, that wasn't what I was expecting, but I know something new, or I've learned a new way of thinking about something, and that's what I want to like. Yeah. That's what I think all of us want to bring to it, and again,
definitely.
So we're gonna have to like slowly bring this to a close. I think I've only got 10 minutes more battery left on my GoPro, but just to say like like the community just want to support each other. We all understand that like these airsoft guns are not cheap. They're quite expensive, and whatever we can do to help each other to save money, we all jump on board with.
100%.
And so I really want to talk to, like, I've got some other friends that have got MWSs. Like, I would say this build is probably, it's tough because Alex did like an F1 build, and we got those at the same time, and he did like a 9mm conversion, which I thought was so cool. But the real steel aero precision buffer tube on here, like the real MCMR like rail on here, like Alex's one, like just so clean, so nice. I'm a big fan.
I love it.
I'm looking forward to the first person to come with like a carry hand build, like a carry handle build, and I can like have a quick go on that.
Definitely. And that's the thing, the sky's the limit with it, really.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want with them, can't you?
That's it, and that's it. We'll do this again, but we'll be talking about completely different things and completely different builds. I mean, we didn't really talk about your MP7, but you've done yours like an A2 version with like a rail on the front as well. We'll look at that another time. We'll do, I'd like to do more things like this where I, bring people like Ben on and we just chat about airsoft stuff. I don't think there's quite enough of this in the community, and so it's fun. But anyway, we need to get ready because we've got a game tomorrow. It's getting late, and I need to pack everything, pack the guns, pack the spare guns, make sure I've got everything sorted, and then get a good night's sleep to make an early start. The only time that that my feet hit the floor at 6 AM and I have a smile on my face, that's only ever on an airsoft day. Like any other day of the week that my feet are on the floor at 6 AM is a bad day. On an airsoft
that's
day,
just a work day for me.
Yeah, I know, you're like, Yeah, you have a much.
But at least get up with a smile on my face. So
at least you can get out with a smile on your face.
all good.
I don't think I could do that at 6 a.m. unless I know that I'm off for a day of airsoft. So really looking forward to tomorrow. I'll bring you guys an update. Hopefully, as I said, I'm going to try and film some of it and get a bit on camera of certainly using the SAIGA. But I just want to say, Ben, thank you so much for spending your time with me. It's been really good. Thanks for showing me all your kit. I've seen it before, but I could see it 1,000 times and still get as excited about it. So I'm so sad. All right, okay. Until the next time, guys, take care and yeah, have a good one.